boxing fans here with Ade Oladipo. Ade, how you doing, mate? It's been a minute, man. How's life? How's things?
Yeah, where have you been? I haven't seen you at events. I've been around, just working. It's good to be here for this one. The stage looks incredible, by the way. I love the big screens and how the stage is elevated up. But yeah, it's nice to be here. DAZN here as well, which is the first. And when DAZN told me they're going to be doing this and showing the international rights, I'm like, this is what it is. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to cover every single boxing event. So long may it continue. So happy to be here.
Actually, I asked Ben Shalom the same question yesterday. I go, is there a bit of smugness in you because you're on Eddie's platform, per se? And he was like, no, listen, when the big fights happen, everyone needs to get together. Broadcasters, promoters and everything, and we can see it with this card.
Yeah, look, we're seeing it with fighters as well. It's funny because, broadcasters are coming together, but I think we're noticing that fighters are just going on different platforms. Like, so many fighters are all over the place. Let's not forget, Eubank was going to fight on DAZN. Liam Smith has recently fought on DAZN. So all the fighters are going all over the place as well. So I think it's time that the broadcasters get in bed with each other. I think the fans win, if I'm honest with you, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Not quite sure if it will be, but hopefully it is.
Let's talk about the main event, man. I've talked to a lot of people in boxing about the main event, and people are swaying either way. Talk to me about this fight. First of all, I want to talk about Eubank Jr. The guy's he's playing this villain, bad guy, but you know what? He's gained a lot of fans post the Conor Benn stuff. Yeah. What do you make of Eubank's character the more he's got on in his career?
I'm just angry with him that we haven't seen this for years before, because I love this side of Chris Eubank. I don't know how can you not love it? And credit to him the way he handled the Benn situation as well. He lost a lot of money, that fight not happening. But I thought he was very respectful. I think he's handled it very, very well. And this fight, another big one for him, right? He's on the crest of a wave right now where he's as big as he's ever been. I think he's more bigger than when he fought George Groves, more bigger than when he fought James DeGale. I think his name now is starting to get a lot more respected by fight fans, not just in the UK, but worldwide. Hence why DAZN have got the international rights, because his name's now all over the place. I love the fight. I've gone back and forth as well with it. 50-50 fight. When it was first announced, I was like, okay, Smith. I'm a what have you done for me lately person. I'm like, well, Smith's done really good work lately, whereas Eubank hasn't. I know he's spoken a lot, but we haven't seen him fight for nearly a year. But then he convinces you, doesn't he? You watch, the face-off and you're like, okay, well, Eubank's going to do this. So I like it, man. Honestly, I think it's a 50-50 scrap. Eubank starts fast, Smith comes on late, and then whoever nicks the last couple of rounds might nick the fight.
We've got to give the old dog Liam Smith his due, because the fact that people are still calling it 50-50 this late in his career, he's been about, man. He's fought on the big stage, he's been a champion, he's done it, wore the t-shirt, but the fact that we're still and is a bit crazy, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Just doing a weird announcement, but yeah, we can continue. I think it's crazy, but I think Joe McNally's given him that next lease of life. I think that's really, really helped him. But look, credit to him. I think he looked really good against Anthony Fowler, which was a massive grudge match. Looked really good against Vargas in America as well. I think people forget that fight on the undercard of Katie Taylor-Serrano. So look, he's looked really good. So yes, he is, you're right, he's probably on the last chapter of his career, but he's still fit, still does his football after every boxing match, right? So I think there's still a couple of really big fights in him. And I think this is probably the first step in it. 160 is interesting. I know his last fight was at 160, but this is a fully fledged 160 in Chris Eubank. So I wonder if the size is going to play an impact. But look, he deserves so much credit because I think he's been a good servant to boxing. The whole Smith family, isn't it? I think he's really good.
I was speaking to Ben Shalom yesterday, and he said that Chris Eubank Jr. is probably one of maybe 3 or 4 fighters in the UK that are recognisable within the casuals and the hardcores. Do you believe that's the case? Do you believe that he's broken out of that bubble and made himself known to everyone?
Yeah. Again, off the back of the Ben stuff, isn't it, really? It's off the back of that. And so because of that, and I remember I did a Misfits thing with him as well. He was on stage with me. So people start to know who you are. He's come out of his dad's shadow. I know people still like to associate him with his dad. Obviously, they're going to, but he's come out of that. He's his own person. He's an incredible speaker. So smart, so articulate. So he probably is one of maybe 4 or 5. There aren't that many. And I guess that's the problem with boxing, but he is definitely one of them. And if he wins this one, And then look, it's big fights, whether it's Golovkin, Kell Brook says he wants to fight the winner, Conor Benn again maybe. There's big fights there for him after.
I do want to talk about misfits. I didn't want to talk about this early, but now you've mentioned it. There's a tweet from Carl Frampton. I want you to sort of discuss this with me. He's wrote, both Tyson Fury and AJ, KSI and Tommy Fury will almost certainly leave boxing having made significantly more money than any other active UK fighter. That's the way boxing's actually going, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's weird. I was gonna tweet Carl, like, whose fault is that? Like, whose fault is that? Is it KSI and Tommy Fury's fault that they've built up this weird social media presence and people want to see them fight? Can we blame the fighters that fighting now not for pushing their social media? Like, every boxer for me should have a YouTube channel. I find it laughable that they don't. Like, how do you don't have someone following you around with a camera? So not you as the boxer doing it, but when you come to these events, these boxers come with about 10 people. There's this massive entourage. Why can't one of them just have a camera and upload some stuff to TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram? I don't understand why they can't do it. So look, unless boxers understand that there is a new way of promoting, it's like these boxers still rely on the promoter to promote. Them days are over. You've got to start promoting yourself. So look, it's not great for boxers that that's going to happen, but that should be a wake-up sign. If I'm a boxer seeing that, I'm like, okay, 1 second, we've got to look at everything, because it isn't just enough. Like JD Boston, a young fighter on DAZN, he's only 4 fights in. He's got a YouTube guy following him. I'm like, well done.
But saying that though, are we going to see that from the younger generation now? This new generation that's coming in, we're probably going to see more from them than we're going to see. For example, I set up Dillian White's YouTube channel. He did a bit with it, and now I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, are we going to maybe, going off KSI and Jake Pauls and these guys, maybe we're going to see this new generation implement that, because they've got to do it, right?
Of course we will. I saw a few young boxers, I won't mention their names, at the KSI fight. So they're watching it, they're thinking, okay, 1 second, we need to get a bit of this, you know what I mean? So I think they all will eventually do it, because it's free marketing. Your fans want to know more about you. They don't just want to know about you on fight night or fight week. They want to know about you for what do you eat, what do you sleep, what do you do in the gym, everything, your clothes, your watch. And I feel like that's where boxing purists, that the hardcore boxing people can learn from these guys. I get it. It annoys people. It pisses people off. I get it. But just try and nick a few of their things and what they're doing. Why are they so popular? Why does everyone want to watch them? Why are they getting paid millions? Do you know what I mean? And then you can use what they do. But yeah, I do think we're going to get boxers that are like 23, 24 now. In 10 years' time, they're all going to have massive followings. They're going to have YouTube channels. Boxers now, just too old, aren't they? They just don't know what they're doing with it. Too old school. But yeah, it's disappointing to see. But hopefully it's a wake-up call for all the fighters.
I think so. We've already heard the news. Saudi Arabia interested in possibly the biggest fight in that sort of game right now between Tommy Fury, Jake Paul. Massive rivalry. We've been wanting it for a long time. Looks like February 25th, the Saudis are going to be taking it. That shows how quick it's gone, right?
Dude, I was in Dubai at Coca-Cola Arena for Mayweather Deji. Luckily enough, I was ringside. And if you saw just the multi-millionaires all ringside wanting to watch it, people fighting for tickets, there's a massive interest in it. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury is going to do incredible numbers. It's crazy. It's going to do incredible numbers. I'm hearing Tommy Fury is going to get paid a base of $2.5 million. A base. So yeah, look, there's a lot of interest in it. There's a lot of money in it. And again, I think some of the fighters now with personalities, I keep mentioning JD Boston because he surprised me when I saw him. I was like, all right, I see a young kind of Ryan Garcia about you, good looking kid as well. So I think fighters eventually will get to that stage. But yeah, it's crazy to see the amount of money in this YouTube influencer boxing scene. It's crazy.
Ade, I just want to move away. I want to ask you a very simple question. I've been asking a few of you guys, Spencer Oliver and a few others. Can Anthony Joshua become world champion again?
Yes, he can. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Ade, I know you're an AJ fanboy. And yes, there is an element of me being an AJ fanboy. But I also look at the situation, and if Usyk fights Fury, and fingers crossed that does happen, I know there's rumblings like it's going to move to the Middle East, to Wembley, but if that does happen, someone's going to become undisputed. They're not going to continue to be undisputed. They're going to vacate belts. Those belts are going to go scattering everywhere. Almost a bit like when Tyson Fury got stripped after fighting Vladimir Klitschko. Once they go everywhere, that's how I think AJ will pick up a belt. So look, do I think AJ can beat Fury or Usyk? No, I don't. I think they're too good for him. But I do think AJ can beat a Hrgovic or Zhili Zhang or Jared Anderson or even a Deontay Wilder. So I think he gets a belt because they're going to be vacated at least 3 of them will be vacated by Fury or Usyk. That's how I think he becomes a 3-time heavyweight champion. That's it. It's going to be tough, but that's the way I think it gets done.
How much is a problem is Joe Joyce in this whole division?
He's a massive problem. He's a Terminator. He's scary. Honestly, he's now become almost a boogeyman of heavyweight boxing. A bit like Kovalev was years ago for light heavyweights and GGG was. So, yeah, he's a big problem. And if AJ has to fight him, there's a problem there. I feel like we need to see AJ, if it is Jermaine Franklin, get a knockout, have one more, get a knockout, and then go to Joe Joyce. I still favour AJ over Joe Joyce. I honestly do. But it's a tough fight. Tough fight. But heavyweight boxing, it shouldn't be easy. Title shouldn't be easy. You should have to go through everything. Like AJ was almost a bit... AJ probably won his title too easy against Charles Martin, didn't he? Next time round, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. But I think there's enough in there. Hopefully the link up with Derek James will prove fruitful. And hopefully we see the best AJ. Because trust me, the best AJ is good for all of boxing. Everyone eats when AJ fights because it's the biggest thing you can put on in UK boxing. So hopefully he comes back and does well.
I'm going to throw a name in the works. Francis Ngannou. Done an interview with Ariel Helwani, left the UFC, released. He said to Ariel that I want to get into boxing now. He's always wanted to be a boxer from day. Yeah. That's what the path he chose. He came across MMA, became this beast of a champion, but now he wants to come into boxing, fight AJ, Fury and the lot. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, big Francis Ngannou. Look, I mean, he puts people to sleep in those 4-ounce gloves. I watch a lot of MMA, a lot of UFC, and technically he's not the greatest boxer in the world. Some people might say, no, he's Deontay Wilder. He clearly has ridiculous power. But I think he's going to have to go for AJ or Fury immediately. Because I do feel like if they put him in against a top 15 guy, the guy could beat him quite convincingly because he's not a good boxer. But if he touches you, you're going to sleep. There's no 2 ways about it. I like the Chisora fight. And I saw Chisora and he said to me he's got something big planned and now we're hearing it is this. I don't mind that. I don't mind the Chisora fight for him. I wanted to see Chisora call it quits. But if he's going to fight in Ngannou, that last big payday, and then we can see where Ngannou... If Ngannou sleeps Chisora early, then okay, put him in. Do you know what I mean? So we almost need to see him in against a gatekeeper before he goes straight for the big boys. But good luck to Ngannou. I like what he's done. He's got his freedom from the UFC, who obviously have these ridiculous contracts, and I think he's going to make a lot of money in boxing. A lot of money.
Do you get his frustrations and his negotiations? Things he wanted in the contract with the UFC was sponsorships, which the fighters don't get. They have to wear what the UFC give to them. And also the last one was health insurance. Yeah. Both of them not given. Do you understand why it's like he's taking it on for the whole of the UFC and he's left?
I love that. The top dog, the biggest man in the industry, the UFC heavyweight champion, is like, okay, no, we're not just fighting for me, I'm going to fight for everyone. Because they offered him $8 million, I'm hearing, for the John Jones fight. It's a lot of money, but he's like, no, health insurance. For the guys that are making 20-20 and 15-15, for those of you that understand, 15 to fight, 15 if you win. What kind of, and you don't get health insurance? And we know it's a dangerous sport. So I think, like, fight the fight. I think it's really good that he's stuck to his guns. And I think we're seeing a lot of UFC fighters do this. A lot of them don't have the power that Ngannou has, but a lot of UFC fighters are deciding, you know what? Nah, like, you need to pay us. They're seeing what some of the boxers are getting paid and thinking, oh, we're doing the pay-per-view numbers, why aren't we getting paid? So I like that he's not just fighting for himself. And in the end, look, it's cost him his career, maybe job, but I think Ngannou will be okay. Where he's come from, homelessness, sleeping on the streets in Paris, what he had to get through in Cameroon, he's okay with life right now. Everyone complaining that he's turned down 8 million. He never expected to be a millionaire. He's all right. Don't worry about him.
Final one for myself. Big fight. Looks like it's going to get announced. Is Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, man. Talk to me about that fight. Big fight.
Take my money now. Take my money now. And DAZN are doing it, so that means I'm out there as well, which is, I'm just happy to be out there. You know what I like about it? 2 completely different people. Polar opposites, right? I mean, one, you could call it a roadman in Gervonta. Don't take no shit. And the other one, in Ryan Garcia, has built up this amazing following. The thing about Ryan Garcia that makes me laugh, like, I've covered a couple of his fights. He can fight. I think maybe because he's a pretty boy and people maybe look at him like he doesn't have a dog in him because he looks like that. Ryan can fight. Do I favour Gervonta? Yes, but that's the fight we need in the lightweight division. We've been speaking about these lightweight matchups for years, the 4 kings, and we haven't had one yet. So look, if that one happens, for me, from a pay-per-view standpoint, might be the biggest fight we see. I think it's going to be a really, really big fight. I love it. I think it'll be a 2-fight deal. I'm giving you a little insight in here, 2-fight deal, but that's a big one. It's a really big one.
Actually, Eddie spoke about maybe getting Conor Benn in there. We know that Conor Benn, at some point, there's some statements going to come out. I don't know how long we've been waiting for it for a little while, but say that statement comes out, Conor's good to fight. Eddie Hearn saying he wants to make that fight with Gervonta Davis.
Just talk. I saw Gervonta go up to 140 against Barrios. I've seen him. He's small. Like, he's not one of those guys that can grow up and weight. His limbs are small. That means he's a small, stout guy. He can't go to 147. It won't happen. It can't happen. So, nah, ain't gonna happen. It's just Eddie talking. I think why can't Conor Benn fight the winner of Eka Usman and Chris Congo? Do you know what I mean? If we are struggling to find an opponent, these guys will fight. Big fight, right? British title, Commonwealth title, there'll be a WBC silver title on the line, a IBF European title. Fight one of those guys. Fight's out there to be made. It doesn't have to be one of these big name Americans.
Actually, Ade, and I don't want to really ask you this question because I know you've obviously worked for DAZN, but just a question off the top of your head. Conor Benn is going to be released as this statement. I spoke to a lot of people in talkSPORT, Spencer Oliver and everyone else, and I've asked him, has he lost his credibility with this whole process, or once his statement goes out, is that a clean slate for him?
Look, I know a lot of people close to Conor Benn, and they're very he's innocent, 100% innocent. Look, we've got this WBC ruling coming out. Hopefully in a couple of weeks. I don't know why it's taken so long when it all happened, October, September, August. I've said this, and I'm going to repeat myself. I've said this from the get-go. I don't like the way the WBC are ruling on this. I said this should have gone to an independent body. I said the Court of Arbitration for Sport would have been perfect. And the reason I say that, it's not because I don't think the WBC are competent to deal with it. Conor Benn's got to win the trust of fight fans back. And I think if it went to an independent body and they said, no, 100% we've looked at anything, he's innocent, I think people would believe it. I think with the WBC, people be like, WBC and Eddie are close. That's my problem with it. Look, I hope for his sake that they find something and he's innocent. I do, because I want to see him continue his career. But we just have to wait and see in the next couple of weeks what happens. He's putting out Instagram posts constantly now saying, let me fight, I'm innocent. So hopefully they know something we don't, because the last few months for him have been a disaster. They honestly have been a career disaster. He can rebuild. We've seen that. Fighters rebuild all the time, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a long way back, but this is boxing. He'll be back.
Ade Oladipo, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Always good seeing you as well, man.
Brother from another mother. Me and Uni have been doing this together for the get-go. It's weird how he's doing this interview with me because we started together.
Crazy times, but listen, good luck with your career. You're smashing it, absolutely killing it, and hopefully more opportunities for yourself in 2023. Thank you very much for talking to pro boxing fans.